votes that we would have, Caitlin will make a written out of it. Other than that, sorry, that's a weakness. Oh, there's just this is the City of Newburyport Community Preservation Committee. Call this meeting to order. We have from Caitlin the package everybody received in advance, and including the agenda, the staff report, present budget, and a proposed schedule, including a list of all the applications that we've received for this session. You can see we have our work cut out for us this year. So, as in years past, and this is for the benefit of the committee, visitors, and anyone online tuning in, the way this goes down is we have a list of applications. Tonight we will decide on a schedule where we invite each applicant to attend a meeting and give a brief presentation of their project to the committee. The committee will ask questions. Members of the public are invited to make questions or comments with each project application as well. Once we have been presented with all the applications, we'll have a separate meeting where we do deliberations, where all of the applications are reviewed, discussed, and generally in one meeting, a decision is made by the committee as to what recommendations will be made to City Council in terms of which applications are funded or are recommended to be funded and in what amounts. It looks like on the agenda today we also have public comment. So when we get to that, I'll open up the meeting to anyone in the public who wishes to make a comment. We also have on the agenda 2 projects which are requesting accelerated decisions, and we will hear from each of those applicants as to the reasons why they need to have an accelerated decision, and the committee will decide on each one whether they grant that request. And by accelerated decision in these cases, we mean that we would hear the presentation at our next meeting, as well as additional presentations. But at the next meeting, for those 2, if we grant their request to accelerate, we will decide on those 2 our decision on recommending them or not, and the amounts. Okay. Any questions about how we'll proceed? Nothing different from years past. We're all advanced at this. Okay. Why do I always forget that? So we'll call those questions. Yes. Dr. Griffin absent. Melissa Bryan absent. Jennifer Bluestein. Joe Texera. Andrew Wheatman. Jamie Gagnon. Present. Chair Michael Bissett present. We'll be move along and like that. Just to review the application, we sometimes see, make sure that people have looked at the proposed schedule. Proposing a meeting on the 29th. Here, the Central Waterfront Boardwalk, Firehouse Center, Hale Street Shared Use Pathway, Woodman Park Improvement, King Street and Patrick Percy Square, Jason Sawyer Fencing, Fuller Field Track Resurfacing, and Lower Atkinson Multi-Sport for Phase 3. On Willow, the Harvard Now Frog Pond Restoration Project. Keeping in mind that as annotated on our list, that request is that the funding be via a bond supported by future receipts of the Community Preservation Fund. Next, we have a meeting in February 5 for all of those to historic preservation. St. Paul's Community Hall roof, fire protection, meeting house, Belleville Meeting House, Gravestone Excavation, Belleville, rehabilitation, preservation of sanctuary windows at Old South. Have each of those folks gone to the historical commission?
Yes, they have.
Okay.
I have letters for a couple of them.
Great, thank you. And then meeting after that would be Thursday, March 5 for the community athletic space at River Valley, open space reserve fund, ground school outdoor space, priority housing needs, rental assistance, and the Cushing House window preservation. And deliberations would be Thursday, March 19. Okay. Anybody have any difficulties with those dates? As in the past, if there's illness, you can't attend, whatever, we'll just assume that the applications are always reviewed, the minutes will be reviewed, and that is a deliberation and make your vote.
For the 20th dinner, that's very heavy.
It is addressing.
Also 10 minutes each if we're running around time, an hour and a half. So we should be able to do it. But if they're
It would be a long meeting by virtue of the fact that we may also be voting on the merits of two projects. So,
are we comfortable?
pretty comfortable for having a long night on the.
Why wouldn't you just do the recreation down to March 5th?
Pretty thoroughly be here on some single night.
Who's presenting Brownsville?
That's me.
That's you.
And you could also expect applicants to be brief.
Yeah, well, that's what we might have to do.
They don't need to be very.
I would think that should carry on to the other dates, even though we have one. In terms of our council.
Certainly, yeah. Okay, so the suggestion is that we stick closely to our 10-minute presentation timing and make sure that carries through all. Right. We've also received our current budget. I don't believe there's any changes from the preliminary budget that we saw at the last meeting. But we will keep that in mind for any possible changes. I'd also like to have Caitlin, when we are just prepared to discuss the broad bond, that we have a current bond schedule, payment schedule. Online, I believe. central waterfront. And, Jordy, I'd like you to, tell us, the basis of your need to have accelerated determination on this project, and how if it were just, decided on the regular schedule, what impact it would on the, project.
Sure. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I'm actually having a fair bit of trouble hearing you all, but I'll hopefully that'll work out. Um, Mike, thanks for that introduction. Yes. So in terms of the accelerated review request for the Boardwalk project, $285,000 request, we don't do that lightly, and we know that that's not a preferred approach in terms of sort of the general approach to reviewing the grants and making decisions. However, we do think that there is a pretty significant case to make in this particular situation, and that's mainly that we are looking to leverage some significant state funding with this recently announced grant from the Seaport Economic Council of almost $1.5 million. It's to be specific, $1,492,500, which is going to fund if the grant is fully secured, will fund the majority of the project. And even more than that, or at least equal to that, is our ability to stay on a time frame to do this work basically as soon as possible. There's a significant seasonal constraint in working on the boardwalk if we want to avoid some pretty significant disruption of the annual boating season and of the public's use of the boardwalk during the summer and the warm weather months. So if we want to avoid all that disruption, we have to do this work in the off season, in the winter, and the fall and shoulder seasons. And we would like to be able to be starting up this work in the fall of 2026, fall of this year. So that time frame requires us to do design and permitting plans and specifications this spring in the next 4 months, so that we can then be in a position to bid the project out in the summertime, which with the public construction laws in Massachusetts is basically a 2-month process, so that we can then contract and order materials and mobilize a contractor in the fall as the floats come out, and have that winter time period of 6 months or so to complete the construction phase of the project. If we stick to the regular grant cycle with the Community Preservation Committee's review time frame, which Mike and the rest of you were just going over, and then going through the city council, we really run the risk of losing several months in the process, and potentially not being able to the conduct the project in a timely fashion. So that's the sort of quick summary of why we're making this request to have you review it on an accelerated time frame, so we can get it to the city council as soon as possible next month, go through their process of 2 readings and committee reviews, so that we can then be in a position to sign the state grant contract and amend our contract with the Marine Engineer GEI, and move forward with the design phase to set up the rest of the process.
And with the accelerated time frame, when would you expect the project to be completed?
It would be completed in the spring of 2027. So we would be mobilized. We would be signing a contract with the contractor and mobilizing them this fall in say mid-October, and then they would work through the winter and be wrapping up the project in the spring of 2027 before the next boating season begins.
Anybody on the committee have any questions? George? Okay, I think I'd like to hear from the Firehouse Center next before we decide on the,
Sounds good.
I'd be Chuck Griffin tonight. She must have known I was coming to the table.
could you introduce yourselves for the record,
Yes.
please?
I'm Shauna Panetta. I am the president of the board of directors at the Firehouse. I've been on the board about 5 years and president for 2.
Nancy Caswell, I'm a resident of 3 Jefferson Court here in Newburyport. Wear a couple of different hats here within our community. The president of the Greater Newburyport Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I have a small business, Brine on State Street. But in this capacity today, I'm sitting in front of you as the treasurer for about 1.5 years of the Firehouse Center for the Arts.
Thank you. Everybody knows and hopefully loves the Firehouse building, so I'm just going to do a little roundup of bullet points of what we feel is compelling, and then we can chat with you. So we have a 200-year-old historic city-owned building. It is the center stage for Greater Newburyport's arts industry. It was renovated to be the Firehouse 35 years ago, and we house city public restaurants in the basement of the building. We have sea-level restaurant on the 1st floor and the theater on the 2nd floor. The elevator is the only ADA compliant access for restrooms for the theater and the restaurant. It is also utilized by thousands of city visitors, restaurant and theater patrons throughout the year. Despite consistent maintenance since the installation, this elevator has required service almost on a bi-monthly basis for the past 10 years at least. And this has all been paid for by the Firehouse. We did not pass inspection in December, and we were issued a 90-day violation notice from the state, and that's one of my little exhibits that's part of this presentation. So we have 90 days from December 19th to do something about this. Construction has not started, and that's also part of the attachments, the messaging from the elevator company that we have started to contract with. And then we have a message from the mayor endorsing our project. That is part of the process. So without this replacement, there will be the loss of the ADA compliance in the city-owned building and will restrict any access to the designated public restaurants and the theater. Risk of the restaurant loss is a big deal to the building because it's an important source of income. We've been working with the city ADA coordinator to ensure compliance during construction. And then there's a quick timing schedule there of when we expect how this construction schedule will work.
So we've known about the project and the parameters of what was necessary, but we missed the opportunity to get in front of you in this last year's funding aspect. And so when we learned more about the opportunity with this grant and knowing that we have the matching opportunity grant with the Arcalian Foundation to support this, we worked really aggressively to get the presentation in front of you. And so the reason for the interest of being accelerated is actually kind of similar to the city boardwalk. It's the seasonality of shutting down that general bath as well right during prime season. We know that from the time we start the project, Metro is estimating anywhere between 15 to 18 weeks. And so we want to be, thoughtful about what that seasonal shutdown looks like for midsummer for the restaurant, but also for the general public who use that bathroom. There's, a good amount. A lot of people use that bathroom. A lot of people shower in that bathroom. It's pretty interesting, but so for that reason, you know, we as a board have been really working towards raising dollars, but the challenge of raising for something this significant really impacts the operation of the theater to make it accessible and inclusive for all and affordable for all. And so getting in front of you in an accelerated place gives us a better understanding of what we need to do with this elevator. So we have put a deposit down, but it's only to essentially mobilize the contractor and make sure that we can work with him in the future and get a better understanding of the timeline. So we're not in a place of just being stuck without an elevator.
So you've also secured his time slot too, so he doesn't get another job in the meantime, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was also just procurement of pricing, because when we started this project, as we mentioned last year, when we got around to getting a second round, the price had already jumped another round, and we were so nervous and, you know, with knowing that the Arcalian grant could come through. And when our, Mark was so kind to just, you know, help us with getting it in a place where he could at least commit to giving us that price point, that was helpful, because it jumped almost $100,000 in a year of production costs.
Okay, are there any questions from the committee?
Just in terms of timeline, I know you said that, you know, if you had to wait until fall for CPC funding, it would have a lot of impacts, but signing, I guess signing a contract, do you have other funds that are you able to use for this?
Well, we are gonna just have to work aggressively at basically what our contributed income that we do as a board to support the operation in the program will be directly impacted by what we have to give out of that pocket to this earmarked elevator.
Okay.
So to give you an understanding of the operation, it's clearly a nonprofit, and with that, we try to, the mission of the theater is to make it accessible and inclusive to all. And so we work as a board to support the budget, and we're about 70% contributed income to 30 revenue that comes through ticketed. And so we're at a place where we've got the 200,000 from Arcalian, and we have raised through a gala about 60,000 or so. And with that, we understand that we can't operate without an elevator. It basically shuts us down entirely. So the building will sit vacant, and we'll have to figure out what to do with sea level because of its ADA compliance requirements with the bathroom. So we're we'll have to hit local communities on a double take. And I feel like as the treasurer, we had this conversation, we're gonna have to drastically change, if not cut the program. So basically shut the stage down to be able to do the elevator.
Okay.
Nancy, are there any legal repercussions from the city perspective with sea level and the business in there if the city can't provide?
The way that the lease was written, you know, several years ago, really put the pressure on us. The city has a very basic lease with us. And so we're responsible almost as the tenant of sea level for the conditions of the building. So all maintenance is, yeah.
We'd like to proceed with this in determining whether we accelerate the voting on the decision on the merits is take them one at a time. We'll start with the central waterfront. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to do an expedited review of the Central Waterfront Boardwalk Rehabilitation Project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Second question, from I guess maybe not, this isn't specific to the waterfront or the firehouse, but bigger picture, I'm assuming it is allowed within the parameters of the CPA to vote on an accelerated basis. This is not, I don't think this has happened since I've been.
It has not.
So
we do.
It's legally.
We do out of cycle emergency.
That's right.
So it's similar to that. Okay. It just, you have to keep in mind, kind of like you're keep in mind your budget.
Yeah.
You know,
But it's.
we're making a decision before we're making the decision.
Right.
And it just reduces your available funds.
Okay.
But it does,
It's permissible with-
it's very similar to entertaining an application on an emergency basis that says, well, we've got this need that happens now rather than then.
I was just gonna add that, I mean, any policy along those lines is really coming from the city, so, you know, with the CBC locally, there's no statutory requirement for 1 year, you know, once a year cycle kind of
Okay,
thing.
so that was-
Yes, we control our processes. Eligibility is another question, but we
Right, but
control
we
the
control
process.
that. Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? No? Okay, and we can vote. We don't need a voice, we can do a voice vote on this one.
If all members are gonna be good.
Hmm?
If all members are gonna be good.
remote.
Hmm?
Our minute takers remote.
Oh, it's only the members that count for the voting for. Oh, I'm sorry,
The minute- our minute taker.
For clarity, the note taker who's
Yeah.
remote.
Yeah, sorry.
You'd like a roll call?
Since she's.
Since she's remote.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it'll make it easier.
Sorry, Rachel.
Sorry, I misunderstood what you were saying.
All right, so we'll vote as this is the motion to approve the accelerated decision for the central waterfront. Jane Healy,
Yes.
Biff Faust,
Yes.
Jennifer Bluestein,
Yes.
Joe Texera,
Yes.
Andrew Wheatman. That's a yes.
Sorry.
Okay, Jamie Gagnon. Yes. Chair votes yes. Okay, I'll entertain a motion for accelerated decision on the firehouse center. So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote on this one. Jane Healy,
Yes.
Biff Faust,
Yes.
Jennifer Bluestein.
Yeah.
Joe Texera.
Yes.
Andrea Wheatman,
Yes.
Jamie Gagnon.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And the applicants be prepared for your 10-minute presentation.
We'll be short and concise and to the point.
Thank you.
If not, I'll bring food.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jordan. All right. It's on the schedule. You reviewed the budget. Any questions on the budget? I think we hashed that out last time pretty well. Any other updates?
No, I got nothing.
I have no, Andy? Okay. Thank you. Any public comment? Yes.
I just wanted to thank the commission for voting to accelerate those two projects, 70 Nicotich, 93 High Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Steph. Okay. Okay, good. We have also received draft minutes for the last meeting of October 16th, 2020. Any questions, comments, additions, deletions?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of 10/16/25.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Is anything holding up our adjournment?
Apparently only us.
I want you, since this is now 7:37.
That must have been
We're adding a few minutes to the next meeting.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, right, save it up for the next one.
yeah, okay. Then,
dinner time.
yeah, with that, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming. And have fun reviewing the application.
No idea.
At the firehouse bathrooms.
I also did.
I know that.
I learned that too last week.
Yesterday, when I was reviewing this, all through my children's